everybody? I am the Light Warrior Overflow, and this is the Lost Dimension. This is the brand new Buddyfight set, and it contains the new mechanic of Lost World. It on the box, it just looks great so far, and in the back we got your typical stuff for a Buddyfight box. Sorry. We got the card lists, including the list for the Lost deck, which we'll be getting into, especially. And let's go ahead and...
Okay, I'm sorry. And hello, everybody. Brandon Sonia here, aka Ninja Writer. Today I'm only a guest speaker.
That he is.
So, we'll be right. So, let's go ahead and get to the unbox. So let's go ahead and get to the deck.
This is the back of the game mat. It's got a basic how-to mechanics with Lost World. Things that'll come in handy.
And specific combos.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much the back of it is just beautiful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We got Ranma right here, or should I say Vile Ranma, as that is his name now. And we got a little card that we can look out for in the next booster set. Vanity Husk Destroyer, the Skull.
Neat.
I can barely tell what it says on the card. Can't be destroyed or rested by the card effects of your opponent. And whenever he attacks, he destroys all monsters on your opponent's field.
Nice.
And with 30,000 power, 10,000 defense, and a critical of 5, I'd say he's pretty powerful.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's take a look at the decks.
Absolutely. Oh, before we do that, life counter. We got Ranma and his buddy right here.
I know Buddy... First off, as a disclaimer, I know Buddy Jacobs has already done this, but it doesn't hurt to do our own review of it.
Exactly. I mean, different people make different quality videos. Some people prefer his videos, some people might prefer ours.
But what's best is what you see.
Exactly.
Because better expressing it is what makes the videos and the card reviews even better.
Absolutely.
But
so
now...
the main deck is split into 2 parts when you open the set. And the first thing that you see in the leftmost part of it is the flag card, Lost World. It can't be used as the initial flag, and you can have 2 copies of it in your deck with any flag. It lets you use your Lost deck, and it has a cost in order to use. 2 gauge at the end of your opponent's turn, put it on top of your flag, switch decks.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. You get 2 of them, because, might need them.
Yep.
Let's just set that right there. Then we've got new attribute of monsters in Dragon World, the Dimension Dragons. Appropriately named in the first one we've got is Dimension Dragon Limargia, a size 3 monster. 7,000, 7,000, critical of 2. Top 1 gauge and top 2 cards into the soul. And by discarding 1 soul card, you can destroy any monster on the opponent's field. Sorry. And if the flag is Lost World while he's on the field, he has the triple attack ability, which can come in handy because
multiple attacks can be very useful during a battle.
Oh yeah,
but also can sometimes be a burden.
And then we get 4 copies of size 2.
This looks like 5 to me.
4.
Yeah, I see them.
Of Dimension Dragon Apostro with 562. He's size 2. When he's destroyed, you can either gain 2 gauge or 2 life, which can definitely come in handy, especially since Lost World requires 2 gauge.
Indeed. Next up
is 3 copies of Dimension Dragon Aplistos. He's size 2, 532, and has 1 gauge call cost. And when he enters the field, you get to look at the top 3 cards of your deck and add any Dimension Dragon monster or the flag Lost World among them into your hand. The rest go to the drop zone.
Which would be very useful.
The
But
Dimension Dragons do rely on trying to quickly search out Lost World.
indeed. So that's why it'd be advised not to use it with a regular Dragon World deck.
Though if you have good enough draw power, it can be used in any deck.
Indeed.
Even the Chaos or Infinity.
Which we might test in later videos.
Next up, we've got Dimension Dragon Padia. He's size 1 with 3/2/2. And whenever he's destroyed, you get to search out the Dimension Dragon attribute item from your deck and add it to your hand.
Nice.
And the item is actually pretty useful.
Indeed.
Next up, we get 4 copies of another size 1 monster, Dimension Dragon Cremata. He's
Interesting.
got 3,000 power, 1,000 defense, and a critical of 2.
And
Whenever he enters the field, you gain. If there's another Dimension Dragon card on your field, then you get to draw another card.
and to have a better look of it, because, well, we are going to have a better look at them, I am behind the camera.
Yep.
There we go. Oop. And it went out of focus, but we got enough focus there just to tell what it looks like. We'll show you the rest of them in just a bit, after we do the rest of the deck.
And then we've got our first size 0, Dimension Dragon Alexi. He's got 3,000 power, 1,000 defense, and a critical of 1. And his effect is, at each player's attack phase, yours and your opponent's, you gain 1 gauge and 1 life. So 1, the life gain can be useful, and 2, gauge.
Indeed.
So he's a pretty useful card. And then, I'm not sure why they did this, but they put this card first at outside of the rest of the spells and spells and stuff. Lost a bee.
Which, if I remember correctly, allows you to add the Lost World flag to your hand.
It lets you put a Dimension Dragon monster or Lost World from your drop zone into your hand.
I was so close. Now then, little cutaway. And here are all the cards
Mentioned so far.
I am going as slow and steady as possible. Because as we all know, on my channel, I use my phone.
Because we're not professionals.
Indeed.
That's it.
And lastly, the spell. We just got all the other cards cleaned up so that we can keep on reviewing.
Yep. I have set the Buddy monster aside because he is from Lost World, and I'll cover him with the Lost World cards.
Indeed.
So next up is Dimension Dragon Akismos. He's size 0, 2,000 power, 2,000 defense, and a critical of 1. And he has the effect that when he enters the field, you gain 1 life for every single Dimension Dragon monster on the field.
And it's more impressive that he knew what it said.
Yeah. And that can come in quite handy because life gain can be useful, especially... some things can't be helped.
Indeed. And
Next.
I'm sorry for the barking in the background. There are some dogs near us, so...
Your dogs.
Indeed, but still. Well, let's keep on going.
Yep. Next up, we're into the rest of the spells. First up, we have Dragonic Charge Plus.
And if your life points, if I remember correctly, are low enough, you could draw a total of 5 cards.
Yep. Top 2 cards into the gauge, and if your life is 5 or less, you gain another 3 gauge. Of course, Dragonic Charge Plus can only be used once per turn.
Indeed.
Next up, we have
It'd be too overpowered if you can use it twice per turn.
Oh yeah. Next up, we have a Thunder Empire card. Demon Lord's Roaring Dragon Blast.
Oh, a blast from the past.
Oh yeah.
Literally.
By paying 2 gauge, you can destroy all monsters on the opponent's field and draw 1 card for each.
Which could come in handy.
Oh yeah, especially if you're trying to get Lost World.
And since
It's useful for clearing the field.
And since Overflow here actually has the Thunder Empire's
Thunder Emperor's Fangs.
Thank you.
I
He
use
can
it in
actually
that.
use that with the deck.
Yep. Next, we have a Dimension Dragon spell card, other than, well, the Lost of D. D Death Struggle.
Ooh.
By destroying a Dimension Dragon on your field, you can rest a card on your opponent's field, preventing them from attacking.
Yep.
Sorry.
It's okay. We make mistakes.
Next up, you got your typical defense spells. Yep, for Dragon World.
And these are so iconic, there's not even a need to read them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But we'll do it anyways.
Because
to keep
why
morale.
not?
Indeed. We don't even need to look at the cards to read them.
Exactly. First up,
Blue
Dragon.
Dragon Shield.
You can only cast it during an attack on your opponent's turn if there is no monster in the center.
Indeed.
Attack is nullified, and you gain 1 gauge.
And next up, the best shield of them all.
Yeah, it's true, buddy.
Indeed.
Green Dragon Shield.
That was 2 and 6. That's
Same
creepy.
condition of Blue Dragon Shield, except instead of gaining gauge,
You gain 1 life. And with Deity Dragon Shield.
Yeah.
Deity Green Dragon Shield. With a Drag Deity or
Dry Deity.
Tribe monster on the field, you gain 3 life instead.
Mm-hmm. Granted, you can't use it without a Deity Dragon Tribe on your field.
Indeed.
Next up, we've got a card that Rama himself used.
Ooh.
Drago Trap. By paying 1 gauge and 2 life, you can choose 1 card on your opponent's field. Any card, be it an item, a monster, whatever.
And
it's not allowed to attack for that entire turn.
And it's a lot better because it has Chibi on it.
Yeah, and a little plushy bots.
Yeah.
Though it's not a Thunder Empire card.
Yeah, that would be weird if it was.
Oh yeah. Next we got the item for Dragon World. Dimension Spirit Gun. Kritia. 5,000 power and a critical of 1. Its equip cost, 1 life.
Once you take a look at that thing, you just want to go like, so who are we gonna kill? Or I should say, destroy with the power of my cards.
Exactly. It has an effect that... Right. It has an effect that during your attack phase, you can choose a Dimension Dragon monster on your field, rest this card, and basically that monster gets another attack.
Which actually is pretty useful.
Absolutely.
And I know we don't really need to show this, but we will anyways. The iconic flag for any starter. Like any person who is starting Buddyfight.
In fact, every season has at least 1 deck with this flag card.
Indeed! So give it up for the one and only
Dragon World. Lets you use Dragon World in generic cards. Not much to say about it.
Indeed. But if you're only using just generic cards, that will work too.
Yeah, because there are some people who use generic decks.
Indeed. I actually use a combination deck between generic and Dragon World.
Mm-hmm. No.
Which is actually a pretty good combo.
Yep, let's get a close-up on the rest of these cards.
Indeed. Got it. Here are all the cards in their glory.
Well, the ones that we just went over.
Indeed. Sorry about the shadow. It's just...
That's him.
Yeah. It's just the camera we are using to take this video.
Mm-hmm. Or rather, the phone.
Still camera. Oh, man. My back is killing me.
Chibi!
Yeah, who doesn't love that chibi? And here is the one and only
Dimension Spirit Gun.
And there's the better focus.
And of course, the one and only
Dragon World. The one and only world that everybody would use. Especially
at
if
least
it's...
once.
Indeed. To have a good start.
Oh. Alright, now for the main focus of this deck, other than Lost World itself.
Actually, to me, here's what I have to say. It is the main thing and the main reason why we are doing this unboxing. Lost World.
And this is the Lost deck.
Hand me that back, boy. We never even... Here it is. Da da da. Just looking at the back of this, you can just tell how much time and effort was put into making that backing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like making the Mirage cards all over again, but
yeah.
even better.
Oh yeah. Let's go ahead and get the first card from Lost World reviewed.
Indeed.
And with the Lost World cards, there's a new attribute introduced other than Dimension Dragons. Lost Vader.
Indeed.
And this is the first card that's shown.
And-
Weasel Fedwall you gain.
With pretty much 80,000 defense. A critical of 8 and 8,000.
80,000 power, 8,000 defense, and a critical of 8.
Thank
you. That's a lot of. That's a big critical, especially for a Buddyfight card.
It's pretty much.
Also,
But it would have been way. Wait, isn't there a monster with more than a critical of that?
not naturally.
What about Chaos the Infinite?
Infinity Gear God Complete.
Yeah.
He only has a critical of 4.
Oh, man.
But this card's cost: pay 1 gauge and put the top card into his soul.
They should have more if it's...
And all he's got is Soul Guard, so...
Yeah, and here's the best part about these cards. They don't have a size.
So, size limit? What's that? It's like Infinity the Chaos all over again, except you don't have to worry about it once you change the Lost World.
Indeed.
And
But you still do if you're using this regular cards as well.
Yep, but notice normally the word monster's up here, but it's not. It's down here.
Yeah, bring that puppy in. Let me go ahead and bring a hand over so we can just shade that out. If you can notice it has no words up there on the monster icon.
Yep.
And how many of those are you getting? 4? Yeah.
Yeah. Next monster you get 2 of. Hanel Count Dauf. 50,000 power, 10,000 defense, and a critical
Of 5.
He has Penetrate, too.
Indeed. Which would be very terrifying, especially with a monster of critical of just natural critical of 5.
Oh, yeah.
What other monster was there that had a critical of 5? It was something dealing with the Legend world.
Fenrir.
Yes!
And...
Fenrir is a natural card that actually has a critical of 5.
And... Vanity Husk Destroyer the Skull also has a critical of 5, remember?
Indeed. But I'm talking about before Lost World.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Fenrir was the first ever was the only ever monster to be known with a critical of 5.
Yep. Next up is the Buddy.
Now this is where just put down your drinks, boys.
Yeah.
The Buddy.
Demonic Dragon Release. Vanity Husk Destroyer.
Bring that bad boy up here.
This is the Buddy card. And I love the good old triple rare foiling that's shown on it.
Indeed.
In fact, they didn't do this for any of the other decks.
Yep. It's only special boxes that get the triple rare.
Or Buddy rare even.
Yes. Sadly, we did not get the Buddy rare, but the triple rare
It doesn't come with the Buddy rare for this one.
So, anyway. But still, getting a triple rare. Actually, hold on a second. So I was wrong. My card is not a triple rare, but it is close enough to be pretty much a rare on its own.
Oh yeah.
Especially since it's from Darkness Dragon World.
It's a double rare, but it
looks more like a Buddy rare.
The only difference between this card and the Buddy rare, really, is that these would also be in gold.
Indeed. But the fact that the entire card, the entire background, except the monster, the critical, everything else, is not gold.
At first glance, we thought it was a Buddy rare.
Indeed. Until we took a look.
Because down here, on non-set cards that come in booster packs,
Now you can't see that.
is the rarity.
Yes.
And as you can see, 2
let's go ahead and
R's.
fix up the focus. And it may be pretty hard to see, but if you focus on my finger here, if you look right here right on top of where my fingernail is, you will tell where the symbols that you can find to tell what type of rarity it is.
This one has 2 R's, so it is a double rare.
Indeed. I like the rarity system in this game, because Well, unlike Yu-Gi-Oh, the rarity system is very vague and very hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to know what each rarity looks like in Yu-Gi-Oh! But here, it plainly states it on the card.
Indeed.
Here's your card.
Thank you.
Now, Vanity Husk Destroyer here.
Is a triple rare.
Yep. Though it doesn't say it on the card. But hey.
But it's just the foiling and the way it looks that gives us the impression that it is the triple rare.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since the letters on the card are golden.
Mm-hmm. Now then.
I meant, not letters. I meant to say was the damage steps.
Yep. Now then,
Which
Vanity
are golden.
has 30,000 power, 10,000 defense, and a critical of 3. He cannot be destroyed by any of the opponent's card effects.
Indeed.
And when he attacks, he can destroy or return a card on your opponent's field. You can destroy or return any card on the opponent's field to their hand.
Like, say, an item or a set spell.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're trying to do a one-turn win.
Oh,
If that card gets on the field, guess what? That ain't happening.
And with double attack, you can get rid of 2 cards.
Indeed.
So,
And next up
this is
is, but we don't really need his regular form.
Yep.
We just need
Though
his buddy.
it actually is worth mentioning something since the buddy is from Lost World. If you notice, since his backing his backing is with the same as the rest of the Lost World cards, an interesting thing. Until you change to Lost World, this card
stays face down.
exactly.
Which gives your opponent the impression that you have a different type of deck.
Yep. And you can only use a Lost World buddy if you have a lost deck.
Or the Lost World flag.
Well, you kind of need one to use the other.
Indeed.
So, yeah. Next up, we have Zorun Zorkin with 60,000 power, 10,000 defense, and a critical of 6. So, that's pretty powerful itself.
Indeed.
And he has the move ability, though I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, I'm not complaining. So.
Well, I think they probably put that in because if we both know who.
Oh, yeah.
Infinity, the Chaos.
Uh-huh. Oh, but this next card. This next card is powerful.
And if it's the only...
And it's only 1 copy.
Ooh. That means you know it's real business.
Oh, yeah.
It's even worse if it gets into the gauge.
Oh, yeah, that'll suck. Arpal Payduwaller. 20,000 power, 10,000 defense, and a critical of 3. He's cost, pay 1 gauge, and put 2 cards from the drop zone into his soul. Which means you don't have to worry about putting cards from the top of your deck. And he's got 4 abilities. Penetrate, double attack, soul guard, and counterattack.
Indeed.
First card I think we've gotten that has counterattack.
Ooh, that will be hard to counter.
And what counterattack does is if he's attacked and he's still on the field, then you can destroy one of the monsters that attacked with defense less than his power.
And so far, we haven't came across a monster with Penetrate, have we?
We've come across 2 cards with Penetrate.
I'm talking about in Lost World.
Count Dalf and Payduwaller.
Oh, guess I didn't know that. Oh, now you... And with Penetrate, the only way you can deal damage to your opponent is if you attack a monster in the center.
Exactly. It'll deal damage equal to the critical of the attacking monster.
Indeed.
It's effect damage.
Yep.
Next up, we have Dugain Zaisith. He has
10,000 power, 10,000 defense, and a critical of 2.
not that high of a critical for a Lost World monster.
Eh.
He's got a cost of 1 gauge, but when he enters the field, he can nullify the abilities of any one card on your opponent's field and destroy it.
Indeed.
And he's got double attack.
And considering how large this deck is, the review actually had to take a lot longer.
Oh yeah. Considering it's 82 cards total. Ooh, we're getting into spells.
Now this is where the magic happens. Before we get into the spells, let's go ahead and take a look at the cards. Ain't here are all the cards in their glory.
So, all the monsters at least.
And once we are done, we will take a complete look at the entire deck.
All spread out for everyone to behold.
Yes, because now that I'm actually figuring this out, I had the focus on every single card off.
Oops.
So that's why we're going to be taking a better look at them.
Yep. Now,
And here he is in all his glory, even better looking.
oh yeah.
Yep.
Next, we're on to the spells. Alrighty, next we're moving on to the spell cards.
And if I'm right about this, this card only has one copy.
Yes, this first card, only one copy of it. And though there is a chance that we could have gotten a triple rare version of this card. Though fortunately, we did not. Beggars can't be choosers, I guess. Dimension Lifestream. Now it has two effects. You can either increase your own life by 10, which is a massive amount for life gain, or you can reset your opponent's life back to 10, which can come in handy if your opponent's losing a lot of life, or if you just want to torture them.
And if it were up to me, I would have kept on doing that to my opponent, even if I didn't only had one card in the deck. Which, if it were up to me, so I could have multiple, I would just buy a total of 4 of these decks.
Oh yeah.
Just to have
It's
4 copies
card.
of it.
It's a powerful card.
Indeed.
Next up, we're moving on to another spell.
But in order to balance it, you'd only need 2 copies.
Yeah, 2 copies would do it. Next up, Dimension Revive. It lets you call any monster from your drop zone by paying its call cost.
Indeed.
Any monster. It doesn't have to be a Lost World monster. And for the turn that it's called from the drop zone, it gains an extra 2 critical. So that can definitely come in handy,
Ooh.
especially if you're doing damage.
Oh, just think of that versus, I don't know, Thunder's Emperor.
That with Thunder Emperor's fangs.
No, against.
Oh.
Think of the mayhem.
You puts that with Purgatory Knights.
Oof. Now that will be total destruction.
Oh yeah. Next up, Dimension Mirror. It's a defense spell, and it can only be used if you don't have a monster in the center. It nullifies the attack and deals damage to your opponent equal to the critical of every attacking monster. So, yeah, that can do a lot of damage, especially.
Yeah.
Because, your opponent's taking the power of their own monsters straight to their face, basically. And next we have, basically, Drago energy on steroids.
Yeah, pretty much.
Dimension Revenge. It lets you choose a monster, any monster in battle, and for that battle, it gains 100,000 power, 100,000 defense, and counterattack.
Just think of that combined with the most powerful monster there is. With, well, power at least.
Turbulent Warlord Dragon Borrowbot's Drago Royale, which already has a power of infinity.
But who has a size of infinity?
No monster, actually. Closest thing to infinity is the size 10,000 Ultimate Chaos Gear God Complete.
That's exactly my point, actually. That's who I was going with.
And the final spell is a set spell. Dimension Shadowgate. And its effect is whenever you are being attacked, not one of your monsters, but your opponent has to either...
I'm sorry, guys, but we're going to finish up with this card real quick. We'll be right back after you finish off explaining this card.
So basically what this card does is whenever you're being attacked, your opponent has to pay 1 life, or else the attack is nullified. It doesn't go through.
Yep, and we'll be right back.
See
ya. He will be continuing without me, so carry on, my friend.
Yep. Okay, next up, we've got the item for Lost World. Vile Demonic Cannon. Lostless Mazer. With 10,000 power and a critical of 5, it's a card to be it's an item to be reckoned with. And it has Penetrate, so that'll definitely be a damage dealer. And next up, we've got the... I'm gonna wait for him before we go over that card. We've got the impact of this deck. Carnage Destroy Blaster. It can only be used if your opponent's life is 5 or less. And what it does is, well, it deals 5 damage. And considering that you can use it for free, no cost whatsoever, that's a very powerful impact, without a doubt. So yeah, I'm gonna wait for Brandon to come back before we go over the last card in the Lost deck, because yeah.
I'm sorry for how long it took me, so time for the last card.
And apparently we missed a spell.
What? We did?
Yeah, but this one, it's a triple rare.
So in total we got 2 triple rares with this deck.
Yep. This is the only other card that there was even a chance of getting a triple rare.
Oh.
Dimension Jamming. It forces your opponent to discard 2 cards from their hand. And since it's a counter spell, it can be used even during their turn.
And what's even worse is if you only have 2 cards left in your hand.
Oh yeah, that is the worst.
But in total, let's go ahead and conclude this little showing by showing the cards.